never sleeps, Las Vegas brings in millions of tourists around the world for the beautiful views, entertainment, and the nightlife. But the main reason for it all is gambling. With the gaming industry growing every year, many people gamble for fun in hopes of winning. The Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority reported that 41 million people visited Las Vegas in 2015, and the number keeps growing. 12% of those people came to Sin City specifically for gambling. For some people, beginner's luck comes easy, and in these exciting moments it fuels us for more to continue a winning streak. However, as we take our losses, we are desperate to make the money back, but end up losing more than what we had. As gambling can be considered harmless fun, playing the games can unfortunately be disastrous if you get carried away. It's easier said than done to walk away, but for those who choose to keep playing, gambling addiction can come fast or slowly take its toll.
People have been gambling in Las Vegas for a really long time. The city was founded in 1905 and gambling was part of it from the start. A lot of people originally came to Las Vegas to gamble because there were not any other places to gamble legally in the United States outside of Reno, and not that many people went there. So Las Vegas for many years was the one place you could go and play cards and slot machines and shoot dice legally. Casinos in Las Vegas, well, originally they weren't casinos, they were gambling halls, they were downtown. In 1941, a guy named Thomas Hull got the idea to move the whole thing out to what is now the Strip. Instead of having it being this kind of grimy little gambling hall, you take the gambling out of that context. You put it in the middle of this resort where it's a pool and it's fun and it's sun, and the gambling is just something that you happen to do. And that sparked the growth of the Las Vegas Strip, which has resulted in the casinos we have now. After other places in this country cracked down on their illegal gambling in the 50s, that increased, and that was a big reason for people to come here. However, when you go forward to the 90s, other places were legalizing gambling. Atlantic City was the first back in '76, other places started in the late 80s, early 90s, and that became less of a draw. You can find my work at my website, dgschwartz.com, and many other interesting places in the web, but the website is linked to all of them.
Gambling for fun is entirely different than gambling to win, as losing is much more accepted with recreational gambling. For some people, gambling can just be a few hours of fun, as gaming enthusiasts treat it as a hobby, occasionally coming out with a few friends to have some well-wanted entertainment.
Be a gaming enthusiast is just, you enjoy the more competitive nature of sitting at a table and enjoying a game, whether it be blackjack or craps or roulette. I mean, there are certain games where, like craps for example, what you do affects everyone around you. So in craps, you're like rolling the dice. What you roll could win or lose money for a lot of people at that table. So a lot of people are either gonna love you or hate you, depending on what you roll in craps. Same thing with blackjack. The dealer draws cards, and whether you hit or stand depends on what the next card would be. So it could be good for the dealer, it could be good for another player. Like me and my friends, for example, I'll text them and say, hey, you guys wanna go play blackjack or something? And we'll just go set a table for hours and just play roulette or blackjack, because they're relatively inexpensive games. You don't have to spend a lot of money on those games. And it's just something fun to do. I mean, it gives people something to do as long as you don't go overboard with it. It's not a bad thing. So one of my favorite things to do, a big reason why I play table games, I just for some reason love having chips in my hand and just playing with chips in my hand. Like I have a bunch of chips, I just mess around with them. I don't know, it's just really fun to hold chips and hearing chips and setting them down on the table. It makes me feel cool, like I'm here, I'm at a table. Like I feel like I'm in the World Series of Poker or something. Like it's intense, you sit down, you pull up your chair, and it's more like, it's something in and of itself. Like I can't feel that way about anything else in life, the way I feel going and playing a table game. But I think a lot of the people who gamble today are younger, or the younger generation, do it for fun. They don't do it to win money, so to speak. So you see that with a lot of hotels are lowering their limits. So before you'd have a lot of tables where you have to spend at least $25 on one hand. Then it became $10. Now there's a lot of $5 tables around. They're moving away from gaming as a whole and moving towards more of entertainment. They're still making money off of people losing $5-10, not as much. So it's not good in that aspect because of that, because people are spending less money gambling, there's less being invested into it.
For the most part, gambling is a socially acceptable behavior, but gambling addiction is another story. If left untreated, it can lead to some serious problems and affects not just the individual, but friends and family as well.
So I moved here in 1990, right after I had graduated high school, and was from California. Came from a family of addiction. My mom's an alcoholic, so I always was very cautious about drinking, and I've never done drugs. So gambling, I wasn't really that appealing to me, but when I turned 21, I went and I did it a little bit. I had like $20 and got some nickels. This is back when you put the nickels in the machines, and I ended up hitting a Royal. And for someone that doesn't make a lot of money, $250 just like for nothing was awesome. I ended up hitting a Royal on that, and then went to a $5 machine and hit a couple of big jackpots, and I went home with over $60,000 that night. That was like an oddity story. It wasn't an automatic, ooh, I'm an addict now. It kind of creeped up on me. I found myself going and gambling more often. I didn't recognize that it was some type of an issue. Even when I started stealing from the company that I worked for, I just made every excuse to make it okay. When I was caught, obviously the blanket was pulled, and I had to go home and tell my family and tell my children. And I was expecting to get arrested like immediately, and that didn't quite happen. It took about a year for them to press charges. I entered in treatment, and I was about a year in recovery before they pressed charges. I was facing 16 years in prison, and I got probation because I'd never been in trouble before. I still have urges. I go to meetings all the time. I see, I have a sponsor, and I've worked my steps, and I'll probably continue to keep working them. My mind kind of slips back to, you really deserve your life to be this good after everything you've done, and if I really go to that, then, absolutely that can trigger emotions that, I have to be careful for. We do have different levels of people coming: police officers, teachers, politicians, homemakers, retired people, homeless people, definitely unemployed. We see everybody. They definitely can hit any age, any race, any status in life. We offer a 6-week outpatient program for problem gambling here, funded by the state. The cost is $10 per session, but we don't turn anyone away that's unable to pay. They can come in to do an assessment, which just assesses that they are a problem gambler. They meet the criteria, we're able to enroll them. It's not only for the people that have the problem gambling, friends, family, concerned others, anyone that can get help from the treatment. It's group therapy along with one-on-one therapy. The harder calls we get are actually from the friends, family, and concerned others. That call usually comes in when their loved one's not quite on board that they have a problem. So generally what we try to do in that situation is we try to explain to them that any type of enabling that they're doing, paying off things for them, covering up the stories to other family members or friends, everyone needs to be on the same page.
Whether you're gambling for fun or gambling to win, it's a diverse activity that can reel anyone in. With games of chance, the outcome is always unknown, so everything is basically fair game. The stakes can be high and sometimes low, but remember as you play, all bets in.